What's up, everybody? Jay LaValle, Joe Wrestling. I'm excited to present to you the men's freestyle Olympic preview for the upcoming Tokyo Olympic Games starting this weekend for wrestling. There's 6 weight classes for men's freestyle. I have a much more in-depth overall knowledge of the athletes as well as each weight class than I do of Greco. So hopefully that means a lot more to you guys when you're listening to this or watching this. But I'm going to dive right in right away. There's 6 weight classes, just like Greco, and there's 16 athletes in each weight class. The top 6 qualify from the 2019 World Championships. And then the remaining 10 athletes all went through a qualification process in their continental qualifier, and then one final last chance qualifier. So 16 athletes, 6 weight classes. And, the first weight class here, we're ready to go with it, is 57 kilos. It's approximately 126 pounds, the lowest weight class between freestyle and Greco. And the number 1 seed is an American, actually, and he's representing Serbia. He is born and raised in the United States, but he represents Serbia. I'm not quite sure what the connection is there. I'm sure he does have some ancestral bloodlines that run to Serbia. His name is Stefan Misik, and he attends the University of Michigan. Actually, I'm not sure if he still attends there, but he did go to University of Michigan, and he is seeded number 1 because he went through a tournament system and acquired points, and the points carried over and counted as a placement. It's not necessarily a seed, but it's more of a placement into the bracket. So he has separation from these other guys that also acquired points from these tournaments, and so they only see the top 4. I'm going to run through the top 4 in each weight, just like I did with Greco. Stefan is seeded number 1, so he will be separated from the number 2 seed, who will be on the opposite side. And in my opinion, he is the man to beat in the entire tournament. He's a 2-time reigning world champion from Russia, and in fact, I should have said this in Greco, these athletes from Russia are not necessarily competing for the Russian Federation. They're competing for Russia of the Olympics. Russia, the Federation of Russia, got banned from the Olympic competition due to the drug scandal that's surrounding the athletes. And it doesn't necessarily mean the wrestlers are involved in this scandal. It just means other athletes from other sports have been investigated and involved in a scandal. So these athletes are not necessarily representing the Russian Federation, even though they are still Russian. They are representing Russia of the Olympics. And Uguev is, in my opinion, he is the guy to beat here at 57 kilos. He has, I would say, the most skill out of every athlete in this weight class, even though he also has the most gold medals headed into the games here. All right, so number 3 seed, and remember the 3 seed is going to be on the same side as the 2 seed, and the 4 seed is on the same side as the 1 seed before those guys meet in the finals. The number 3 seed is Suleiman Atlee. Suleiman Atlee. He's from Turkey. He was a world medalist. In fact, he lost to Uguev at the World Championships in the finals, and he was handled pretty easily, I would say. But this is his 2nd Olympic Games, so he's coming in here with some experience. It's an odd year because, Olympics obviously is every 4 years. This is a 5th year. Some of these athletes who have been around for 2 or 3 quads, and this might be their 3rd quad, some of their 4th quad, that extra year makes a huge difference, especially when they're starting to age into their 30s. Atlee, and not saying Atlee has been around a long time, but he kind of has. He won a junior world championship in 2013. That's, you know, it's almost 10 years ago. I don't have him medaling, even though he is seeded. Again, the seeding criteria is based on points accumulated at tournaments, not necessarily accomplishments or head-to-head victories over anyone in particular. And so you're going to see and notice a trend here as I do this analysis through all the weight classes, that some of the top 4 seeds are not going to be in my pick to medal. All right, the number 4 seed is the 2019 world bronze medalist. He's from India. His name is Ravi Kumar. Ravi snuck in. I believe he snuck in and he grabbed a bronze medal. He beat a world champion, Yuki Takahashi from Japan, to get to that bronze medal. But I don't see him medaling here. He's sort of a favorite because India has a huge wrestling fan base, and I think they're hyping him up to take home a medal. I would say he's fairly skilled. He's not the best skilled athlete out there. He is he's well conditioned and he has a motor, but he's not very fast. He's not very athletic. He's not very strong, in my opinion, just watching him. And so I think he's going to get run down pretty hard by some of these other athletes that I believe are going to be in the hunt, more in the hunt than he is. All right. So that's the top 4 seeds at 57 kilos, 125.5 pounds to be exact. Just running down here, I would say the other medalist here that the other world medalist here was a world bronze in 2019. Nurislam Sanyev. He is a Russian descent, and he now represents Kazakhstan. He's going to be in the mix. He's not seeded, but he is going to be in the mix, and he has a lot of momentum coming into this event. He won 2 events in 2021, believe it or not. So he's fine-tuned and he's ready to go. And he could be a threat. I don't particularly see him medaling. He's another guy that's been around for a while. He did wrestle at the 2016 Rio Olympics, and he competed for Russia, believe it or not, back in 2012. So he's been around a while, and 10 years isn't a long period of time but for a competitive athlete, and especially wrestling, 10 years starts to climb up to the point where you're considered a veterans of sort. But he has not. I believe he's only won 1 world medal in that span. So I don't particularly see him as a huge threat. He could potentially knock somebody off and sneak in. And it also all depends on, the draws. They only see the top 4 athletes from the points that were accumulated. However, the other 12 athletes are drawn into the tournament. And so any of these athletes can, who knows, they could all be drawn in. All the tough ones could be drawn in on one side of the bracket, and they're just knocking each other out, which sometimes can be useful for those athletes, especially if they're getting knocked out by the guy that gets to the finals. That means if that person gets to the finals and everybody that person beat gets pulled back into repertoire, that's what it's called, and they have to fight to get back to a bronze medal match. And so that could potentially happen. We don't know. This is a lot of speculation on my part and everybody else who's excited to watch this stuff. And so it's kind of hard to follow when it's set up this way, but I also understand why they wait to do it this way as well. Number one, they have to make sure all the athletes make the actual weight, and they don't want any funny business. There's been a lot of funny business in the past of payoffs and, things that we don't really want to even hear about in the Olympics, but it does happen. So, other than that, I would say, the only world medalist in here, he's from Mongolia. His name is Bakbayar Erdenbat, and he was a world medalist back in 2015, but he was a junior world champion in 2012. So again, another guy that's just been around for a long time. He will be obviously somebody to look at, but again, I don't think he's going to be a threat. He's going to be in this bracket to shake things up. The two athletes that I believe, I should say three, I did mention Uguev as the clear-cut gold medalist here. I think it's going to take a monumental effort from somebody to knock him off. He's just too solid. But the other three athletes, I'm going to name four because there's 4 medals in each weight class, 2 bronze, a gold, and a silver. So I'm going to name 4 that I believe are the top 4 contenders. And there's more, but these are the 4 that I fully believe are going to probably medal. I already mentioned him. He's seeded number 1, Stefan Misik. I don't believe he is going to win it. He's seeded number 1. Uguev is seeded number 2. They could potentially meet in the finals. However, if somebody knocks off Misik, he still has the opportunity to make a bronze medal as well. So you have that going on. Stefan Misik, I do believe he is training. He's been training in the United States. He's got a good support system, and he's going to be ready to go. I believe the last time he went to the World Championships, he placed 5th, which is pretty good. That means he lost the bronze medal match. And I believe he also placed 5th at the World Cup most recently, which replaced the World Championships in 2020. So he's knocking on the door. His skill level, I'm sure, is improving up until now, has improved up until now. And, but I do see 2 other athletes that, it's hard to say. Again, I think Uguev is going to be the clear cut, like I said, but these other 3, I believe, are going to be in the greater hunt than the rest. And I already mentioned this guy as well, Yuki Takahashi. He was a 2017 world champion. He also lost to Ravi Kumar for a bronze medal, and I believe it's 2019. But he is solid, and he just knocked off, Ray Higuchi of Japan, his teammate from Japan. Ray Higuchi was a Rio Olympic silver medalist at 57 kilo. And, Ray has a tough time making this weight. And, during the wrestle off, it was broadcasted live. He just did not look good at all. I think it's just too much cutting weight. And Takahashi, he's solid. Nothing flashy about him, but he's solid. And I do believe he's got the experience enough to get in for a medal here and fight for a medal. And, my other medal pick here is from the United States. I haven't mentioned him yet. Thomas Gilman. He is a Nittany Lion Wrestling Club athlete. He's one of, I believe there's like 4. No, 5. I think there's 5. I'll have to go through. I'll have to go through towards the end, but I believe it's Gilman, Franklin Gomez, Bexod, and Kyle Snyder. I don't think there's any more than that, but which is impressive. So Gilman won a world silver medalist. In fact, he lost to Takahashi in the 2017 World Championship Finals. I just think he changed his environment. He's with Kale Sanderson. He's with Casey Cunningham. Who else is over there? He's with Kale's little brother, Cody. And I just think he's going to be more prepared in that environment. than he was in Iowa. International wrestling, quite different than NCAA college wrestling here in the United States. And he was more predominantly known as, like a collegiate wrestler. And that's just not going to get it done on the world stage. But those are my four guys: Uguev, Misik, Gilman, and Takahashi. All right, moving on. Man, I could spend forever talking about these guys, but got to move on. Okay, 65 kilo. This is this is a stacked weight class. I've been looking at this weight class for a long time. This was the hardest one, but I think, going into this preview, I really scrutinized over who's the guy here. And I think I've narrowed it down. And I tried to do this very logically and unbiased here. The only biasm that I have in any of this is if I've actually worked with any of these athletes or know them personally, I'm taking them. That's the only biasm I have. But 65 kilos, man, it is stacked. Here's the top four seeds here. Again, by virtue of the participating tournaments that accumulate points. Gazi Rashida from the Russian Federation, or Russia of the Olympics. He's I think he's a two-timer. No, he's a one-time world champion and the two-time finalist. All right. Now, he's seeded number one. He has several head-to-head wins over guys in this weight class already. But he's seeded number one. Number two seed is 2019 world bronze medalist from India. His name is Bajrang from India. All right. Number three seed, he's a 2019 world silver medalist from Kazakhstan. His name is Dautlet Nazirbekov. And he is second Olympic Games. I believe he competed in 2012. So again, there you have that aging factor in there. And I've taken that in consideration here. He has a 2019, like I said, 2019 world silver medalist. He lost to Rashidov in the finals. All right. And then the number four seed is a 2019 world bronze medalist. And he's actually from Russia as well, but he now represents Hungary. His name is Ishmael Musa. He is probably one of the most explosive, dynamic wrestlers in this entire weight class. However, the thing that comes into question with him is his gas tank. That means, can he last the full 6 minutes to wrestle a single bout? That has been something he's always had trouble with. And I'm sure this is his first Olympic Games. In 2016, he was still in the Russian Federation, and he was in the finals with Victor Lebedov. And there was a big controversy there with a hometown official, basically, in Yucatilla, where the Russian Olympic trials were being held. And Musakayev lost it. I mean, he literally lost the bout with the official handing a point to Lebedov. It's hard to say if it was warranted or not, but Musakayev lost his mind. He didn't make the Olympic team. Lebedev didn't medal at the Rio Olympics at 65 kilos. And Musakayev left. Now he represents Hungary. But even since then, his gas tank has always been a big question, despite the fact he has the most explosive leg attacks that I've ever seen, and they're fast. So those are the top four. In the top four, I only have one medaling. All right. Again, this is a product of the seeding system based off of participation points, and I don't agree with it. I can see why something like this has been put in place, but I think it has to be changed in order for fans to be able to follow the sport. Fans that aren't tied in, even like myself, I'm tied in, especially freestyle, I'm tied in pretty deep and know a lot of these athletes, but it's hard to follow. And if you don't have a proper system in place, you're going to lose the casual fan to what's going on, to what's really going on. And so that's the top four. Only have Gazi Rashida as medaling here. And so I'll go through my other three picks here. Well, first off, let me go through some other athletes here who have some pretty good accolades that should be mentioned here. From Cuba, Alejandro Valdez. He is a two-time world bronze medalist, and he's going to be representing Cuba here. So I'm sure there's a lot on the line for him, with the stuff that's been happening in Cuba. He wants to bring home a medal for his people. Let's see. We have, something interesting here. He's not a medalist, but we have, I believe he's the first Argentinian wrestler to qualify for the Olympics, and he beat Zane Rutherford of the United States, which is interesting because the United States is not in this weight class. Remember, you have to qualify, the country has to qualify the weight in order to send an athlete to be the delegate of the country. And Zane Rutherford did not get it done at the Continental Olympic qualifier, which is the Pan Ams. And this guy from Argentina, Agustin Alejandro Destrabats, he pinned him, I believe. I watched it. He pinned him. And so that limited the United States' ability to qualify for this weight. There was one other opportunity, and I'll get to that. So that's an interesting thing here. Here's an amazing athlete I look up to, athlete I study a lot. He's from Azerbaijan. His name is Haji Aliyev, and he's a three-time world champion. He's an Olympic bronze medalist. I believe he, see, did he place in London? No, he didn't place in London. But he's historically, his whole career, he's been down at, the weight below, which is 60 kilos, 61 kilos. And now he's up at 65 kilos, which has given him a hard time. He has not medaled since he's moved up. And, as much as I like him, I don't believe he is going to medal. These guys at 65 kilo are strong. They're fast. They have a lot of horsepower. And he might have the technique. He has a lot of good technique. But I just don't think he has the horsepower to get it done against these guys. We'll see, though. And there's another guy in this weight class who also was down a weight like him. His name is Vladimir Kimchigashifili from Georgia. It's a very similar boat. I just don't think he had the horsepower to get it done at this weight class. These guys they're fine-tuned machines, and if you're moving up a weight and you don't have the proper strength to overcome, techniques and speed and horsepower, then you're not going to be able to compete as well. So Kimchigashifili did not qualify as well, and it's because, let me see. Well, I'll get to it. Here's another Russian athlete in the bracket. He's naturalized. I don't know if he's naturalized. Now, some of the, I don't want to take up too much time, but some of these athletes are able to compete for other countries because either they're naturalized citizens of their new country that they're representing, or they have some sort of tie to the country. They have ancestors there, direct ancestors, their father, mother, grandmother, grandfather were born there. and with the Russian Republic of Russia, you know, there are 15 different countries that broke off that were previously belonged to the former Soviet Union. So you can imagine there's family all over the place. It's not, I'm sure there's some athletes just trying to find another opportunity, but we don't know the whole story, because that's what happens with some of these guys competing for other countries that grew up in the United States. You know, they grew up in the United States, but they're competing for other countries. So we don't know the whole story. I'd like to know. I think it's fascinating, especially guys who lived in Russia, born in Russia, and then they're competing for other countries. But Magomed Murad Gazayev, he actually is the guy that prevented the United States in their last chance to qualify for the Olympics. He beat Jordan Oliver, which prevented the United States from qualifying for this Olympic Games. And he is a world medalist as well. And I believe he was an Olympian in 2016. But he's here. He's Russian. He's representing Poland. I don't think he's going to medal, but he is. He's going to be in the hunt. So I would say, let's see. I would say there's one more athlete. I do. This athlete, I do believe, again, this was a tough one to scrutinize. This was tough, really tough to scrutinize this weight class. And I narrowed it down to this guy. He represents Kyrgyzstan. His name is Emzirar Akhmedlazayev, and he is an impressive athlete. He wrestles, obviously freestyle is leg attacks, but he can throw you at any time. And I'm super impressed with his skill. He's a young guy, not a lot of info on him, but I watched him wrestle at the Asian qualifier, which knocked out another Russian athlete, Iliad Beklubada, and he was impressive. He knocked him out and prevented him from qualifying. And then he had to wrestle the Iranian Yazdani-IRAN. We call him Junior or Mini Yazdani-IRAN, but he went back and forth with him in like a 30-point match, and they both qualified. The continental qualifier took the top two, but man, he is exciting to watch, and I think he's going to sneak in. I think he's going to sneak in here. And then the final athlete that I believe would medal. So the guys that I have right now, actually there's two more, sorry, getting ahead of myself. The next athlete, Takuto Otaguro from Japan, very impressive athlete. He is fast, he is technical, and I was a little worried about him, maybe about 6 months ago, that he would not have the horsepower like Aliev and Kimchigashifili, but I saw him at the Asian Championships, and man, he was manhandling like horsepowering guys, and I was impressed by it. So I think he's going to be ready. He was a world champion in 2019, I believe. No, 2018. And he's the youngest world champion in Japanese wrestling history. And, it would be amazing if he could get it done to win, obviously, in Tokyo. But I think he's going to take home a medal. I don't think he's going to be able to overcome some of these other athletes. I do realize his newfound horsepower puts him more in the mix than I thought he would be in before. But I do think he's not going to have enough to overcome, especially this guy. His name is Vajjan Tavanian from Armenia. This guy is a horse. And I believe Otaguro actually beat him pretty handily when they were younger. But Tavanyan is just on another level right now. Tavanyan won the World Cup gold medal this past December 2020. In fact, he beat Musakayev pretty handily. I believe he tech-followed him. And, he wrestled in my opinion, out of this whole weight class, he wrestled and has the most momentum going into this tournament than anybody else in this weight class. At the last chance qualifier, I believe it was the European Olympic qualifier, he won the European Olympic qualifier. He beat Aliyev, who was a 3-time world champion. He beat Kimchigashifili from Georgia, who was your 2016 Olympic champion, 2012 Olympic finalist, silver medalist, and he beat Gadzayev from Poland, who we talked about, and he beat Skibian from, I believe he's Kazakhstan. But man, he had an incredible run. In my opinion, he's got the most momentum going into this event. So it's going to be interesting. Tavanyan, Otaguro, Rashidov, and my guy from Kyrgyzstan, Akhmatliev. I believe it's those four, coming down to those four. And I have Tavanyan edging out Rashidov here. Rashidov actually barely made it out of the Russian championships to qualify. Russian championships could potentially be an Olympic Games in itself. They're so deep in every weight, but he barely qualified. I think he won 2-1. And Tavanyan, I think, just has much more offense than Rashidov, and it's going to be close. So again, Tavanyan is not seeded, so we don't know where he's going to fall within the weight and within the bracket. But Rashidov is the only seeded athlete that I have medaling at 65 kilos. All right, moving on. This is going to put us halfway through 74 kilos. This is just like 77 kilos in Greco. I believe 74 kilos is the hardest weight class for men's freestyle. And I'm going to go through the top 4 seeds. I do have, let me see. I have 2 of the 4 medaling here. So number 1 seed is your 2019 world silver medalist, Frank Chamizo from Italy. He's seeded number 1. Again, he gained those valuable participation points, grabbed the number 1 spot. Number 2 seed is a 2019 world bronze medalist. He's from Kazakhstan, Danzi Karamanovku. All right. He's a 2019 bronze. Number 3 seed is Zarabek Siddikov. He's a 2-time reigning world champion, and he's seeded number 3. He's going to be separated from Chamizo. I don't believe Chamizo has ever beat Siddikov. They have a few head-to-heads. I don't believe Chamizo has ever got him. And then the number 4 seed is Mustafa Hussein Hani from Iran. And he's young, and he's gonna make some noise here. I don't believe he has a medal, senior level medal, but he obviously gained the 4th slot through his participation in some events. Let me go before I name off the other 2 that I believe are going to be in medal contention. I will name other guys that have previous world medals. From Georgia, Avtanadil Kentichadze. He is a world, I believe he's a silver medalist. I think he lost to Siddikov in 2018. Yeah, 2018. He'll be in the mix. You have Franklin Gomez, as I mentioned earlier. He's representing Puerto Rico. He also represents the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club, went to college in the United States. Very nice guy. I got to go down to Puerto Rico in 2019. I had a couple of athletes that I trained, and we went down, and one of them actually made the team. Unfortunately, he didn't qualify the weight for Puerto Rico, but he made the Olympic team for Puerto Rico. And then my other athlete lost to Franklin. Even though he got the first takedown on him, I was so pumped when that happened. Franklin leg laced him up and it was over. But he is the first wrestler for Puerto Rico to qualify for 3 Olympic Games. He's a world silver medalist, lost to Misik Kudakov like way back in 2011. So he's been around for a while. You know, I want to give him some recognition here. I think he's a name that people should remember. But I don't think he's going to be in contention here. To me, he doesn't have enough offense. He's not to say he's not offensive, but I don't think he has enough to overcome some of these other guys who are just very dynamic and explosive. From Cuba, we have Gendry Garzon. He has 4 world medals, which is pretty cool, silver and 3 bronze. Again, he's been around for a long time. 2010 was his first gold medal. I don't think he's going to be in medal contention, but he is a guy to mention. Let's see. So that's about it here. You know, Chamizo and Siddikov, 2 of the 4 seeded athletes that I believe will medal. We have Kyle Dake of the United States. He knocked off Jordan Burroughs in a, I don't know, anticlimactic series. I thought Kyle Dake was very passive and didn't do a whole lot. And unfortunately, Jordan Burroughs, I was rooting for Jordan Burroughs. I want to see Jordan Burroughs' legacy continue, but now it's Kyle Dake here. But Kyle Dake is a 2-time world medalist at a non-Olympic weight class, so 79 kilos, not contested at the Olympics. And so he's going into this. Now, obviously, there's a lot of hype in the United States for him that he's going to win. He's already beat Frank Chamizo, but that was at 79 kilograms at a different weight. So now this is 74 kilograms. I don't think we've seen, other than Jordan Burroughs beating Jordan Burroughs at 74 kilos, I don't think we've seen him, the best of him yet. So it's hard for me to say he's going to win. I think he does have a shot at medaling. So that's why I wanted to mention Kyle Dake. And here's the other athlete. He's a Nittany Lion Wrestling Club athlete. So this is the 1-2 Gomez. But his name is Beksad Abdurmakhmanov. And he's from Uzbekistan. And he's old enough at this point that he was born in the former USSR. He's the only athlete, I believe, that was born in the former USSR who competes for another country. Well, not really, because he was born in the same country, basically, but now it's called Uzbekistan. This will be his 3rd Olympics in Rio. I think he was so close in Rio to placing, but I believe this is his time. This is his time, and I think he's going to push through. And this is one of the exceptions, I think, to sort of my rule of the aging athletes not medaling. I think he's going to get it done. So that's why I'm naming these 4: Chamizo, Siddikov, Dake, and Beksad. And my final pick for this weight class is going to be Chamizo. Chamizo is, this is his 2nd Olympics. He's been around. He's another exception to the rule. He's been around for a long, long time. He has moved up from several different weight classes: 55 kilos, 60 kilos, 65 kilos, 70 kilos, and now he's at 74 kilos. I just think it's his time. He was a world champion in 15 and 17, and I think he was bronze in Rio. But I think he's put a lot of stock into this Olympics. In 3 more years, he's going to be closer to 35, which is still not old, but it's relatively old for a wrestler. So I think this is his time. And Siddikov, he's very young. Siddikov's 25 years old. I think he can obviously knock off Chamizo. He's already done it. But I think there's more at stake for Chamizo, and Siddikov has more of the time. Dake, I just don't think he can get it done against these guys at 74 kilos. We'll see what happens in the opening rounds. He's unseeded. And if he falls into the bracket, and that's the thing, I don't think he can get by Siddikov or Chamizo either way. They're both on separate sides. And so wherever he falls on the bracket, I don't think he's going to get past either one of those guys. But yeah, that's 74 kilos. We're halfway through the analysis. 86 kilograms is another favorite of mine. Top 4 seeds. The number 1 seed is the defending Olympic champion from Iran. His name is Hassan Yazdani. He also has won 2 world titles since Rio, when he won the gold medal at 74 kilos. Now he's up at 86 kilos. So he is seeded number 1. Number 2 seed, Deepak Punia. Deepak Punia, he is a world silver medalist. I don't think he's ever won, but I don't think he's gonna medal. He's seeded number 2 because, again, he participated in some events. He accumulated points, and that just means that these other guys that are potentially better than him just didn't go to these events and get the points, and they didn't particularly care. And so number three seed is Artur Nafanov of Russia, and he is a world champion as well, junior world champion. And I do have him medaling. And then the 4 seed is from, he's from the United States, and he went to the University of Michigan, just like his teammate Stefan Misik at 57 kilos. His name is Miles Amin. He represents San Marino. I believe he has family direct ancestry in San Marino, and his highest senior level placing is a 5th place. So he's right there. I don't believe he's going to place. I think he's tough. I believe he can hang in with these guys, but some of these world-class athletes are just on another level. Amin just came off the NCAA season in March, that 6 months ago at this point, it seems like. And he lost to the freshman from Oklahoma State. So I don't see him placing, but it's never out of the picture. So I'll name some of these other guys before I give you my picks. Actually, there's 3 Russians in here. Ali Shabanov, he represents the Belarus, and he was a bronze medalist at the 2018 World Championships, and also, he was a bronze medalist in 2013 and 2017 and 2014. So he's got some good wins there, but they're all at different weight classes. They're not at 86 kilograms, smaller weight classes. And then Boris Makoyev of Slovakia, he's also Russian, and he has competed at the last 3 World Championships, and he collected a silver medal at 2017 World Championships. I don't think he's going to be in the picture here. I've seen him wrestle. Again, he just doesn't have the skill level. Obviously all these guys are very skilled. When I say doesn't have the skill level, I'm just basing it off of the other athletes that I've seen wrestle in this weight class. All right. So also Japan, Susaki Takanai, he's competed and was a world silver medalist at 74 kilograms. And let me see who else. And that's about it. David Taylor was the only other athlete here. He's a world champion at 86 kilograms. In fact, he beat Yazdani-IRAN at the 2019 World Championships in the opening round. They had to wrestle the first round, which is a little disappointing. Yazdani came back, won a bronze medal. David went on to win the gold medal, and David's not seeded. So it's going to be interesting to see where he falls. That being said, I'm taking Yazdani-IRAN. I think, the Iranians come, the Olympic years, the Iranians come very, very prepared. I don't know. I have a gut feeling that Yazdani is gonna go in and win his second world medal. So I don't think it matters where Taylor falls, if it's on the other side of the bracket or if it's on the same side of the bracket. If it's on the other side of the bracket, I think we'll see a Yazdani Taylor final, which will be pretty cool to watch. But I just don't see Taylor, I don't know, overcoming that Iranian magic that seems to happen at the Olympics every year. So those are my two, I'd say, clear cuts. And then I'd say Nafanov from Russia. I think he could be in contention for a bronze medal. And then I think Shabanov could potentially get in there too. I mean, I would say he's probably the most decorated with the most medals. He doesn't have a gold medal yet, but he knows how to get it done to win bronze. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4. He's got 4 bronze. So I'm going to take Shabanov there. So that is 86 kilograms. Moving on, another monster weight class. Man, there are 5 Russian athletes in this weight class. I hate to highlight that part, and I did a whole other podcast on the Russian athletes representing other countries, and then American athletes representing other countries, and I did a whole analysis. You can check that out on my Joe Wrestling library, but for now I'll stick to 97 kilograms, the 5. What can we say? We have Kyle Snyder for the United States and Abdul Rashid Sadylayev, not Rashidov, from Russia. Those two are on a collision course to meet in the Olympic finals, and I believe they will. And I believe Kyle Snyder is going to pull it out one more time, and that will put him ahead 2 bouts to 1. So 2018, maybe it was 2018, Kyle got pinned by Sadylayev in the World Championship finals. No, was it the finals? I can't remember if it was the finals, but I do see this happening I do see this Olympic final happening, and I do see Kyle winning it. Kyle has moved on since to the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. So there you go. There's a 4th Nittany Lion in here. And he's been working with Kale Sanderson, Jake Varner, Casey Cunningham, again, all those guys, Cody Sanderson, all those amazing athletes and coaches. And I just think he's going to be more prepared. Kale Sanderson, I think, is one of the most brilliant minds in American wrestling. He I don't know, he doesn't individualize the wrestling as much as you would think, but he knows how to break down technique. He knows he's been on the world stage at that level as well, and he got Varner there. So Varner won a gold medal for the United States as well at the Olympics in London. So I just think Kyle's going to get it done here. And Sadylayev is going to, and to be honest with you, Sadylayev did not look too great. In fact, he got COVID. He did not look too great the last time I saw him wrestle in Russia. And I haven't seen Kyle wrestle a whole lot, but I believe he's going to be ready. And Kyle has been one of my favorite athletes for a long time. He worked with in my club when he was younger in Maryland, and he went to the Fargo Nationals with me and my team. And so, you know, I got to go with Kyle, taking Kyle here all the way. The 3 seed here, you know, I'll just go through it. 3 seed from Kazakhstan, Alisher Yergali. He doesn't have a medal here, but he's a 3 seed because of the participation. Number 4 seed is the 2019 World Bronze medalist from Macedonia, Magomedgaji Nurov. And let's see, he was a 2019 World Bronze, as I mentioned. Seeded number 4. I don't have either of those guys medaling here, but I do have this guy. He is the Olympic champion from 2012 from Azerbaijan. He's Russian from Azerbaijan, Sharif Sharifov. And I should mention, Nurov is also Russian, the guy who's seeded number 4. Sharifov from Azerbaijan won the Olympics in 2012. In Rio, I'm not quite sure about in Rio. He did beat Kyle Snyder in the 2019 World Championships. I believe it was the semis, knocked him out in the semis. Kyle went back and won a bronze medal. Sharifov lost to Sadulayev. But I think Kyle's going to get his revenge if that one happens, if that happens to fall. But Sharifov also, if he falls on Sadulayev's side, I don't think he's going to beat Sadulayev again. I'm sorry, I don't think he's going to beat Sadulayev in their match again. But I do believe he can medal. He's even though he's on the upper end of the age again, you know, I think these bigger guys have a better chance of medaling because of their size and their experience, and they're not, I don't believe they are. I don't believe their bodies are broken down like maybe some of these lighter weight guys are, who have to maintain their weight a little bit more. But I do believe Sharifov can get it done. The other biggie, well, let me go through this. From Georgia, Elizbar Adkiazi. That's a hard one. Adkadzi. He was a bronze medalist in 2018 World Championships from Georgia. Kyle has beat him a number of times. I don't believe he's going to be able to break through here. Salas Perez from Cuba is here. He has not competed at the world level since 2017 World Championships. He's won a number of world medals, second Olympics, but I don't believe he's in this weight class, in this bracket, but I don't believe he's going to be able to medal. 2 other Russians here from Romania, well, representing Romania now. Albert Saratov, he is a 2016 Olympic bronze medalist, and he's got some senior world medals for Russia, actually. He's an older guy. I don't think he's going to be sliding in there. And then from Uzbekistan, Magomed Ibramov, he was a 2016 world bronze medalist as well. Neither one of those guys I have medaling. I mean, this weight class is pretty deep. And those 2 are Russians as well. It's deep of Russians and it's deep of world medalists. From Italy, we have Abraham de Jesus Konyav-Ruyanov. He won a bronze medal at 2018 World Championships. Not a contender, I don't believe. But this guy is. He won a world bronze medal in 2014, but Mohammadi from Iran, he is a tough one, and he actually pinned Kyle Snyder. I watched him wrestle very recently. He was on a drug suspension and he's back. He just looks like he's ready to go, and you know, he's going to be a tough opponent for whoever he faces. He's going to have to face Kyle, or he's going to have to face Sadulayev. So whatever side he is on, I would say he is the biggest threat to either one of those guys. Sharifov, I don't think is going to be as much of a threat. He's there obviously as a threat, but Mohammedian is going to be the biggest threat to Kyle and Sadulayev. So that's 97 kilograms. One more weight class to go. It's 125 kilograms. The big boys, 275 pounds. Man, what can we say about this one? This one is this one's set up to be another excellent finals. The number 1 seed is from Georgia, Gino Petriashvili, and the number 3 seed, I'm gonna jump over the 2 seed for a second, but the number 3 seed is Taha Akgul from Turkey. And these guys have met, I think they've met close to 10 times, and they split. Then there's streaks of one guy beating the other guy a number of times and the other guy beating the other guy a number of times. Well, the number 1 seed, Petriashvili, he has won the world championships 3 times in a row, 2017, 2018, 2019. But guess what? Who won the Rio Olympics in 2016? Taha won the Rio Olympics. And guess who won the last head-to-head matchup? Taha won the last head-to-head matchup. So this is an interesting clash that's going to go down, that I believe is going to go down in the finals. These guys have so many world medals between them. You can't even count them all. So I'll leave it at that. Those are the 2 guys to be looking for. Number 2 seed for Kazakhstan is Yusuf Batmurziev, and first senior level event, so he doesn't have much to go off of. He did the participation tournaments though, got the 2nd seed. Number 4 seed, 2019 world bronze medalist from the Ukraine. His name is Alexander Kotsianovsky, and he has been to the Olympics in 2012, and he has a medal in 2019, obviously bronze medal. He's seeded number 4. And then let me go through some of these other guys. Let's see, from Canada, you have Amarveer Desi. He actually went to college in the United States at Oregon State. He's ranked 8th in the world, and he has let me see, does he have any world medals? He doesn't have any senior world medals that looks like. But he's going to be in the mix. And then from Belarus, his name is Danzi Karamanovku. And he's at multiple medals at the age group level, but I don't believe he has anything at the senior level. The Russian athlete, this is probably their weakest weight class and the most indecisive one of all. All of Russia's other weight classes are pretty, I wouldn't say clear cut, but they have a very strong delegate. And in this weight class, Sergei Kursayev is, he's very good, but he is, it's been a toss up for Russia at this weight between many other athletes. And he happened to sneak in here actually. I think they tried to send 3 different heavyweights to basically get this weight class qualified, and he's the one who got it done. So who else do we have here? From Iran, Amir Hussein Azair, and he is young and has 2 cadet world titles, a 2019 U23 world title. He's going to be in the mix. He placed 5th in the world at 2019 World Championships. Young guy. He at any point, those young explosive guys can knock off these veterans. So we'll see, including Gable Steveson from the United States. He just won an NCAA title here in the United States, and he's a 3-time cadet world champion and a 1-time junior world champion. Has not competed at the senior level world championships, and so it'll be interesting. He's gaining, obviously in the United States, getting a lot of hype. I just don't think he's going to be able to get it done, despite his youth and athleticism. I don't think he's going to be able to break through Taha or Petriashvili. Those guys are just they have too much experience. They have too much, and I'm sure they're game planning him like anything. That's the thing when, it's almost as if you want Stevenson under the radar, but he's a very open dude and wants to talk a lot of trash, and I kind of like that, but at the same time, it really puts him out there and draws more attention, and so those guys, I'm sure, are scouting him pretty hard. But I do have him meddling. I just don't think he's going to get past where he's unseated. I don't think he's going to get past Taha or Petrofili, wherever he falls. I do have him meddling. And I do have the Iranian meddling. So that is it for my analysis. A little bit longer than my Greco. It's pretty late here. My eyes are starting to get scratchy, but I'm glad I got this in for you guys. I wanted to get this in. I'm going to have one more preview. It's the women's freestyle. Again, I'm not well versed on that. Is that like Greco, but I do love watching the women wrestle and competing, and I'm excited to bring you that one as well. If you guys have any questions, if you guys want to start a conversation about this stuff, let me know. Drop it in the comments. All right. Have a great night, guys.